Good night to everyone. My name is Audrey. I'm the Corporate Communications Specialist at the airport. Good evening. I'll turn it over in a few to the Project Management Unit. I know some of you are a bit early. Thank you for that. We'll just hold on until 7:30 to kick off with Mr. Damian Schmidt of the Project Coordinator or Mr. Mirto Brill, Project Director on behalf of the Princess Juliana International Airport. Thank you for joining us. Give us a few.
Good evening, Audrey.
Yes, hello. Good evening.
Yes, I can hear you. And just verifying that we have everybody on.
Yes, they're
the
still
call.
logging on. I'm getting some messages, Mr. Brill, and they
Mhm.
are logging on from the different groups, and they're just updating each other at the same time to encourage each other to come on. So, yes, we got a lot of persons accepted to be a part of the public outreach campaign for tonight. So let's see who joins us. It is 7:30. Let's see where we go.
Perfect. Good.
Good evening. I see the numbers climbing. Thank you for joining us for the public outreach campaign. We're just holding on to see if more members come on out. We're here on behalf of the Princess Juliana International Airport, and we will be presented by Mr. Mirto Brill, the project director of the project management unit. So give us a few. I see more logging on. Thank you for your patience. Good evening, Eve. Thank you for joining.
I'm seeing some names that I recognize. Audrey, 1 minute, and then we can start.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
I think someone dropped off just now. Wow. Okay, then Audrey, we'll go ahead and start. And who is not here will be able to see the recording once we upload it.
Brilliant.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mirto Brill. I'm the project director for the reconstruction of the airport terminal building. Tonight, as usual, we're going to be giving you all a presentation of what we have been working on so far on the project. It's good when you all see do a presentation, but it's also good to see when one of the team actually carries out the presentation. In the house, in the office with me today, I have Dean Schmidt. He's one of our project coordinators, and he will be carrying out the presentation today, and I'll be working in the background. If there's any questions, I'm pretty sure we have enough resources on this call to be able to address any of your questions. So with that short introduction, I'll have Mr. Schmidt present and go through the updates for the project. And again, please, if there's any questions that you have that you would need an answer to, we are very open to be able to give you that information. All right. Sit back, enjoy, Damien, all yours.
Good evening, and thank everyone for being here as well. I'll just throw on my screen so we can get things started. So this evening, we're going to be providing you with an update on the project, as you've heard before. Let me just get back. So I can share my screen. Yeah. Everyone seen the screen share?
We can see that you're supposed to start sharing, but it's not showing anything.
Yes, it's loading on my end as well, Damien.
Okay.
There it is. It's there now.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. So I want to thank everybody for being here this evening. We're very excited and very happy to have this platform to be able to present you with some updates about our beloved project, the airport terminal reconstruction project. And I think it's interesting if we tell the story of how proud we are of our progress. A few weeks ago, when we were doing one of these sessions, we actually started the slide with where what was it? We apologize of our progress, or excuse our progress. But after giving the presentation and giving all the details that we gave during the presentation, one of the members in the audience jumped up and kind of left us with this quote that we should be proud, very proud of our progress. So we decided to retitle the name of the public outreach campaign for this year into Proud of Our Progress. Of course, as we build our beloved airport, your beloved airport, St. Martin's beloved airport. This evening is one of many. As I mentioned before, we've started giving these sessions since 2019 in various forms and methods. Last year, especially during COVID, we started also doing virtual sessions and recording the virtual sessions. This evening as well will also be recorded and will be placed on our YouTube pages for the benefit of persons who may have missed it. Depending on the context, we could also have the link hidden so that only persons with the link can be able to view. But just in general, it's our practice in this project to be able to share and share information and publicize the information, be as transparent as possible. This evening, we're going to be talking, we're going to take a quick look at the timeline, how we're doing in terms of delivering the project on time. We're also going to be taking a quick step back and getting a overview of what the project entails, what is exactly package 2. We're also going to touch a bit on the financing. Then we're going to jump over to some of the major accomplishments that we've had since the last time we spoke. That would include team development, how the team has developed, the general contractor awarding, signing, and the commencement, etc. And then we're going to also touch on a bit. We're also going to touch a bit on the current situation. Where are things now? And then we're going to close off with a bit of the future steps. What are some of the open items still to be done? If there's any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat, and then I'll try to answer everyone. Well, in between me and myself, I will try to answer everyone. And we also have a few other members on the team in the call as well, and they'll be. It's also one of our practices to document all the questions that we receive from the audience during these sessions, some of the ideas and suggestions. So feel free to share and contribute as much as you can. So looking at the project timeline, during the last session when we were here, we were in March 2020, March 2021, somewhere over here. And between March and now, a lot has happened. Just to take a quick step back, before that, we were busy basically with the pre-works project. The pre-works project is basically a lot of the work that needed to be done to ensure that the building was ready for construction. This included the dismantling of some of the old fixtures, what we would call gutting the building. We also had to do, obviously, the mold remediation. So this meant taking very specific steps during getting a contractor who was very versed in mold remediation clearing out the molds, clearing out all all the metal that were in the building, cleaning them off, making sure that, well, all the things that could stay would stay, but making sure that they were cleaned, etc. That was a whole intense process. It took us, I think, about 6 months, if I'm not mistaken, from November 2020 up until April 2021. And after that, we were then clear to have to do the main works project, to start the main works project. In between that time, we continued with the bidding evaluation. So basically looking at getting the general contractor on board and making sure that we follow that due process. That contract was awarded in July, and then we continued with the contract signing and with the commencement date. We'll talk more about that a bit later. Where we're at now in the big picture, let's say, of the main work reconstruction, where basically we handed over the site to the contractor for them to be able to start their works during the dismantling. Again, we'll talk more about that later. And the first main phase should be finished by December 2022. So that's this year, December, the first main phase should be finished, which would include the level 2, the airport offices, and some airline offices, and most importantly, the departure hall. So that's one of the main elements that we're working towards. And then with the full completion of the project over in 2023, a few months after. So that's basically the timeline. What we're looking at here in between, some of the main projects that we're working on now in between are what we call equipment packages. And we'll talk a bit more about those and during the next slide. So just to give you a better picture, the project, the package 2 reconstruction project comprises of the escalators, elevators, the new flooring, redesigning of the floor space. But we also have 7 equipment packages. Those equipment packages would include passenger boarding bridges. So we're going to get new boarding bridges. The baggage handling system, the baggage belts, etc. The security screening system. So the machines that you go to, that you scan your bags when you're passing through security, the machines that scan your body when you're passing through security, etc. We also will be getting a self-service bag drop system. This will allow passengers who are traveling through the terminal to be able to check their bags themselves. This is a new technology that we are very proud to be able to introduce here in the Caribbean. We also have digital signage, whole room seating, furniture, etc., some other smaller items. But this is basically all the main works that will come in the reconstruction project. So that includes the reconstruction and then 7 equipment packages. The reconstruction and the 7 equipment packages would basically give us these major updates and improvements. This would mean for passengers, for example, if I can start here, that we're going to have all we're going to have jet escalators at all our jet bridges. We have 4 jet bridges, so all passengers coming off of the big aircraft will be able to get to the arrival hall via escalator, elevator, or the regular stairs. We'll also have now more check-in kiosks, which would allow persons to be able to check in at the terminal without having to stand up and wait for a counter. As I mentioned, the self-service bag drops. This would allow persons to check in their bags on their own. Large flight information displays, more efficient screening lanes, etc. So you can pass through security a bit faster. Aside from that though, what you will notice here is that we have, the roof has been upgraded to withstand 185 miles per hour hurricane. The entrance doors will now also be enhanced and fortified. as I mentioned before, new terrazzo flooring, upgraded building management system, and in general, we'll be making better use of the floor space. Imagine you were living in your house for about 15 years, hurricane came, and now you're able to redesign, reconstruct your house, and redo the layout with some enhancements. So that 15 years allow you now to learn as much as possible and allow you the chance to kind of see where you can make some good improvements in the house to continue enjoying the house as much as possible. We're also going to have additional space for concessionaires, etc. Canteen, more food and beverages, more food and beverage areas. For the airlines, we're going to have improved check-in counters, more office spaces, etc. We're also going to have an airline baggage service office. And this airline baggage service office basically allows passengers when they travel and their bags didn't travel with them for whatever reason, maybe they flew before the bag or the bag flew after them. This would allow persons to come back to the airport and go to a dedicated counter, a dedicated location to be able to retrieve their bags. How it was in the past is that when you come back to the airport, you used to have to track down somebody, know somebody, call this one, ask somebody, etc. So now this is a dedicated area that we're implementing to be able to better facilitate passengers. In addition, we also have some immigration counters and upgrading to the immigration counters and a relocation of the car rentals as well. In addition to all the upgrades and improvements, we also have, and we're also highlighting some of the sustainability features that is baked into the project. Architecturally, we're going to be using some high performance glazing, low emitting interior finishings, etc. The doorways will also have double entry, which would allow for energy efficiency and also to control a bit more the cooling system in the building. Electrical systems, plumbing systems, the low flow fixtures, this will allow you to use less water during while you're washing your hands, for example. And lots of other improvements, as you mentioned here, during the, as you mentioned here on the slide. One of the questions that we get asked a lot is about our solar panels. If we ever thought about putting solar panels on the roof, the short version is yes, we have. With the previous roof, it wasn't guaranteed, but with this new roof, it has the capacity to accept solar panels on the roof. So that's something that we can possibly implement in a future project. However, for this project, this project is really all about making sure that we restore what was there before. Aside from that, because this is a World Bank managed project, this basically means that this project would have to live up to a certain World Bank environmental and social standards. These are the 10 standards here. You can find more about that, find out more information about these standards on the World Bank website. However, for this project specifically, we are only really focusing on a few of these standards. And these standards basically help to make sure that whatever project that the World Bank is managing, in this case, our project, for example, that the project lives up to a certain standard, lives up to, and that we take a lot of consideration for persons working on the project, for example, the waste that comes from the project, the traffic and safety, etc. So there's a lot of different benefits that we, as the project owner, the client in this case, and the workers and the community can benefit a lot of different ways. All of us can benefit by living up to these standards. So we're very happy to be able to learn about these standards as an organization and be able to implement them in this project specifically, and helps, which of course would help us to focus and bring over these same standards into our other projects throughout the organization. One of these standards, I think I mentioned that in the past, one of these standards, standard ES10, ESS10, speaks specifically about stakeholder engagement plan and implementation. During that, as a part of that plan, we've committed as an airport to engage with our stakeholders by, for example, organizing these sessions, these public outreach sessions, to be able to share with you about the project, but also again to be able to get your input. Secondly, one of the second part of ESS10 talks about a grievance redress mechanism. So it's not really just about us engaging you and having conversation, but also providing a grievance redress mechanism for you, the community, the workers, everyone affected by the project, to be able to launch your grievances and be able to have those grievances addressed in a proper manner. As a part of that, as a part of that, we have now 4 different methods for workers on the project to be able to launch your grievances, launch your suggestions, your ideas, your complaints, and that would be online via our website. If you scan this barcode, it takes you to our website where you can find out more information about the grievance redress mechanism and how to launch a complaint. You can also send an email via p2-project@SXM Airport. This information is also on our website, of course. We also have a Dropbox at the airport that's located near the customer information area, in the customer information desk in the check-in area. And lastly, persons can make a phone call and leave their complaints via the reception and even get more information as well. So that's always something that we try to highlight here as well. Looking at the time, we were supposed to show the impression video, but if that's okay with you, I would like to show this at the end for those who didn't get to see it. We could always also show this, send you the link of Audrey. I would be able to share the link with you to be able to give you more information as well. But we'll try to do that at the end just before we close off. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So to get a bit more, just went a bit too fast, to give a bit more context to the magnitude and the importance that this project has for us at the airport. As an entity, the airport decided to put the PMU together. That's a project management unit. And this project management unit is a special department created specifically for this reconstruction project. That project is headed by Mr. Mirto Brill, our project director, with support from Royal Schiphol Group as an advisor with an advisory role, but also helps a lot with knowledge and assistance as well. Aside from that, we also have a project secretary, environmental and social specialist, project financial controller, project manager, coordinators, and a procurement officer as well. We are also supported as a team by the designer who helped us in designing this new layout for the airport, and that's Corgren. You may have seen their logos in and around the airport on the billboards, etc. Next, we also have the supervising engineer. Supervising engineer is a company that the airport hired specifically to help us as an airport, as an entity, and even more specifically as a PMU, to manage, and supervise the work that the contractor is doing. This company is specialized in engineering and helps us in a lot of ways, basically, to focus on making sure that whatever the contractor is providing, information that the contractor is providing, ideas that the contractor is providing, that they make sense for us as an airport. And then we have the contractor. The contractor is Balasnedam International Projects. You may have heard of them by now. And they would then, of course, have their suppliers as well. Some of those suppliers are our local contractors, local subcontractors, local workers, etc. This is always a complicated slide to explain. So I like to cop out and make it simpler for everyone by just highlighting that the World Bank identifies 4 different risk classifications for projects. This project, the World Bank has identified as a substantial risk project. That is due to the scope of the project, that is due to the complexity of the project in the project itself in terms of the work, but also the dynamics around the project. However, so far we have been able to maintain from the beginning a very satisfactory level of implementation rating. And so this basically just means that the World Bank has identified that we have been doing a good job in terms of implementing and carrying out the project, even though there is a substantial risk. So the project also, financially, the project comprises of 4 different components. And this is where the financial part of the project comes in. Component 1 is everything that we discussed already, package 2, the reconstruction plus the 7 equipment packages. There's a specific budget for that. However, component 2 is dedicated to capacity building and project management. So this is a special set of funds that we were able to identify for us to be able to get the help and assistance that we need to be able to carry out the project as an airport. A part of that also includes capacity building and project management for NRPB. NRPB, as you've seen in the previous slide, one of the previous slides, is also very much involved in the project, and they help us in managing and carrying out the project, especially from a financial perspective. And then we have component 4, which was supposed to be support to the airport operating expenditures. And when this was decided on in, I think it was 2019, late 2019, early 2020. The idea was that in case of a hurricane had to come again, and we as an airport weren't able to pay our bills because of going through reconstruction, etc., that there was a set budget to be able to help the continuity of the airport and its operations. However, this came in very handy when during COVID, when we didn't have any flights for a couple of months, and so we were able to tap into these funds to be able to continue operating the airport and paying our bills, keeping the lights on. This now gives you a breakdown of all the funding and how those is built up. So component 1 is built up out of comprises a total of 107 million. And then component 2, in the next slide, so the WB stands for World Bank, EIB stands for European Investment Bank, and PJIAE contributed also 7 million to component 1. World Bank contributed 500,000 to component 2, also another 500,000 for component 3, and 21 million for component 4, which brings the project total to the project component total to 129 million. This slide now shows where those funds came from. The funds were provided by the government of the Netherlands, which was 553 million grant. That money went to the Samaritan Recovery and Recovery, Construction and Resilience Trust Fund, the Trust Fund for short, as a grant. That grant was then passed through to the government of St. Martin via the Council of Ministers. It then implemented the NRPB, National Recovery Program Bureau, who carries out other projects, other recovery projects via grants and loans. The NRPB also has their own PIU, which is a project implementation unit. And all these different aspects are managed by the World Bank. All right, so the flow of funds is managed by the World Bank. For the airports project, aside from having the government of the Netherlands, the funds from the government of the Netherlands that went to NRPB with a total of 72 million, we also were able to, the government of St. Martin was also able to secure a loan from the European Investment Bank of 50 million to be able to bring a total of 122 million, that's the 50 million and the 72 million, to be able to implement the for our project. And again, as I mentioned before, the airport was also able to contribute 7 million of its own funds. Again, this whole process is managed by the World Bank. So all these different entities would have to report and speak to the World Bank on their own terms. And that's why it's important for us as an airport, as well as the one carrying out the project, for us to have constant communication and contact with the World Bank when it comes to that. So in terms of financing to date, we have the 50 million from the World Bank, 50 million from the European Investment Bank. As I mentioned before, airport contributed 7 million as well, so that's 107 million. However, in the past, the airport was able to secure and invest 24 million of its own funds, and that 24 million went into pre-works, preparing the sprinkler system, doing the mold remediation, demolishing of the some of the elements in the building, doing the waste disposal, making sure that all the debris that came out of the building went into all the debris was disposed of properly. We also had insurance to pay, support, the supervising engineer. I think some of the design work was also in here, if I'm not mistaken, or not, no. But getting package 2 ready, that's one of the things I wanted to highlight as well. Getting package 1 ready as is, so the airport that we're using now, that you're accustomed to now, that you travel through now, that was also paid from the airport's own funds as well. I hope I'm able to keep everyone awake and excited with all the information that we have to share. I know it's a lot to take in, so bear with me, we're almost there. What have we accomplished since Irma? So since Irma 2017, obviously, and then Hurricane Maria soon after, we were able to, as an airport, recommence flights in October 16th, it's 2017. We started night flights soon after. Then we started constructing the pavilions. We also started in 2018, the reconstruction of the roof. We started demolishing and preparing for the demolition of package 1. And then the remediation, so cleaning out of the building, making sure that the mold was gone, etc., from the areas that we were going to use. And then the package 1 was completed in December 2018. That's up until there December 2018. Then in 2019, January 2019, we got our new CEO, Mr. Brian Mingo. Then we started clearing out a space for package 1A. Package 1A is the area, those of you who have traveled recently, that area is the area down in the back by gates, I think it's 8, 9, and 10. That's the area where we have all the fishes on the wall. Those fishes was also very interesting and nice project where we had some students from the various schools paint all the different fishes. So that's something that we're also very proud of. So that package 1A was also completed by December 2019. That was also because after Hurricane Irma, we started getting a lot of passengers flying back in, wanted to visit the island, etc. But because of the space that we had was very limited, we realized that pretty soon after opening package 1, that we needed additional space to be able to hold all the passengers that were traveling. So that's where we started focusing on package 1A. Then in January 2020, in 2020, in June, we issued the RFP for the supervising engineer. You heard me mention before that we hired a supervising engineer to help us in monitoring the work of the contractor. We also started the RFP for the request for bids for the mold remediation and waste disposal. In September, the supervising engineer was hired, and in November, the waste disposal, the mold remediation waste disposal project started. And that project lasted up until April 2020, as I mentioned before. Then in January 2021 is when we finalized the closing of the bids for the main contractor. And since then, we were able to award the contract to the general contractor in July 2021. We signed the contract in August 2024. We had a commencement date on the 4th with a groundbreaking ceremony on the 18th of October 2021. So since that date, the contractor now has the keys to the non-operational area. The non-operational area is basically the areas at the airport terminal that are not being used by passengers and not being used by operations. This is a few pictures of the the contract signing and the groundbreaking ceremony, I believe, as well, or the commencement ceremony. We also added a few extra pictures in here just to give you a bit of understanding of some of the elements, some of the projects, some of the events that had happened on the project so far. This key handover moment during the commencement ceremony was witnessed by our ministers in government. Our Honorable Sylvia Jacobs was very happy to have her here. Some of the onlookers during the event as well. This is some of the makeshift offices that the contractor uses on the project. This is one of our other project coordinators, Mr. Lavani Clark, also doing a mapping of the building. The idea here is that we ever so often go through the building and start to take pictures so that we can track the progress of the works. This actually is a very interesting camera, and a little story here with this camera. During COVID, one of the things that kept us back during COVID is that the persons who were bidding on the companies that were bidding on the project were not allowed to travel to the island, obviously. And so instead of waiting until COVID was open, until COVID was finished, or until the airport was reopened, we decided to implement some technology. So this is a Matterport camera that allows you to take 3D pictures of the entire area, the entire space, and upload those to a website, dedicated website. And so based on those pictures is where the contractors and bidders were able to see the building, walk the building virtually in a 3D way, and then be able to then do their some of their measurements, do the estimations, etc., and then to be able to provide us a bid. So even though COVID kept us back a bit, we were still able to catch up based on that. So where are we now? A lot has been happening. We've now, I think we can safely say we're closing off the mobilization period. During the mobilization period, the contractor was able to bring in the key personnel, start their planning, do the site survey, basically assessing the site. Again, because
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So what is the things like, the metal detectors? Have those been improved recently? Because in 2001, there was a catastrophic event that I was just curious if that got improved on.
The metal detectors?
Yes, have those been improved on?
Daniel, mute your mic, please.
I'm not sure what you mean when you say the metal detectors.
Can they detect
Daniel,
better
mute your
than they
mic,
did
please.
in 2001?
Sorry, I'm hearing two different persons at the same time. Say that again, Daniel.
I'm sorry. Do they could detect things like miscellaneous items better than they did in 2001?
Are you talking about the screening machines?
Yes.
So the new screening machines that we have will be able to will come with some improvements. Yes, I'll have to double check for sure to see how good they are detecting metal. But the idea is that we do get new screening machines. Yes.
I have one more question.
I can explain that one a little bit if is it Daniel that's asking those questions?
Yes, yes.
We had the L3 millimeter wave machine that we had in place pre-Irma. All of those were damaged because of the hurricane. We are replacing those with something called a QPS 201, which also does millimeter wave, but it's a lot more quicker on the passenger, as well as you do not have to take off your shoes. So that when we will have a metal detector next to the walkthrough for the persons who will be able to walk through, but we will be mostly using the millimeter wave, which is a better technology and quicker to be able to screen passengers as they go through. This is something separate from the extra machine, which is being used for the baggage it's going to go through.
So I have a friend who wants to start using the airports. Oh, okay, I see you now. That basically was my question. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Great. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Of course.
So I was mentioning the current situation where we're at now in terms of the reconstruction project. The contractor has now been finalizing their site survey, again, because they were not able to visit the site before they won the bid. They're now they were in the process of assessing the site. That has now been completed. They erected some security fencing in and around the project to be able to make sure that everything is secured. Busy with signages, etc. They were the ones that erected the signage in and around the airport around the airport, sorry, that you may have seen on passing. They have also been hiring and contracting. They've hired a security firm that provides now, I think as of last week, 24-hour security on the site. They've also hired waste management companies. They did a job fair on the island in December. So there's been a lot that they have been busy with as well. Then in terms of right now, they are actually, as we speak, upstairs in the terminal, really busy with dismantling works. They are now dismantling some of the.
Damien, I have a question. Sorry, hold up. Let me just throw my whole body on the screen real quick. I'm sorry about that. So I was just curious, where are you located right now? Because that just looks like a really fancy building, and I was just curious.
Oh no, this is a virtual background actually.
Oh, really? Really? I thought you were like really there, and it just looked really nice. I was just curious.
No, this is a virtual background of one of the renderings from the finalized
the place, the airport.
Oh.
Correct.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have the contractors are now busy with the dismantling works. They're now basically dismantling a lot of the tile. They took out some of the fixtures, etc., that were in the that was still left in the airport as well. And then they also have been working on erecting the offices for the supervising engineer. They also have the site 4 across from Winair that is also now secured with fencing, etc. And across from our rescue and firefighting offices, that's in between Thrifty and the Telem substation. They also have a site there where they're preparing to store a warehouse.
Damien, I have a question about the warehouses. So how much do you think that the warehouses can carry in total? Because I have some meth that I need to be held up for a little while, Damien. Theoretically, of course, if I had like something like that.
But I'm not sure.
Okay,
You may have to contact the contractor when it comes to that.
But I can't tell him that it's meth because you know that's illegal. So like, what can I tell him as a replacement? I would like, should I say sugar, like, or powder of some sort, Damien?
Is it cocaine legal over there?
Thanks for the
Eve?
question. I'll have to get back to that.
Daniel, mute your mic, please.
Eve, don't talk.
Okay, so let's see how we can move forward. Thank you. Let's see, I think Audrey gave you host rights. Pass that back over to you. Okay, so moving forward, I mentioned that these are some of the pictures from the mobilization process. The supervising engineer's office, the site 4, etc. Then these are some of the pictures from the dismantling. You see they dismantled some of the fixtures, some of the toilets, some of the toilet flushing systems, assessments on the BMS, etc. Let's see, one quick second. Where is it?
Why do you stop talking? What happened?
Yeah. Okay, then we have
Sorry.
yeah, then we have having some trouble. Thank you. Yeah, so some more pictures from the dismantling process. Some piping. This is one area where it is one of the big changes at the airport. They're going to be implementing, this is an old picture actually, where they're opening up the area for the new elevator that's going to come in the check-in area. This was in the earlier days. This was a few weeks ago. Since then, they have now excavated and removed the concrete, dug up some dirt. And in the coming weeks, they're actually going to be busy with piling some concrete piles to be able to host the new elevator. More pictures, site visit. We had a site visit from the local fire and rescue team. Some other fixtures throughout the rest of the terminal, some tours that we were able to conduct as well. And then on level 2, again, some more dismantling, taking out all the vents and ducts that were in the building still. Those were old, not clean since Irma. Those has been removed. Sorry, not, some have been cleaned, some were left for removal. Some of the flooring, paneling, wall paneling, etc. Some of the stairs, if you remember over by the sea gates, those were the stairs that were removed from, the tiles from those stairs were removed so that they can be prepared for our new terrazzo flooring. I mentioned that the contractor is now busy with a lot of the removing of tiles. This was a project that generated a lot of noise. So what we resorted to doing is doing that work at night. So this is, I think, about 4,000 square meter worth of tile that needed to be removed. You see, they started a few weeks ago. Some more pictures of that tile removal. So this area, all this area and more, actually, of some of the tiles that needed to be removed during the process. Then we have been having some great publicity, I could say, some positive publicity about the project. We've also had some recent high-profile visits. In October, just before the handover, I mentioned the Minister of Tourism came to visit just before the handover. We also had a visit from the Minister of Romi that was in February. And in February as well, we had a visit from the State Secretary, the new State Secretary, Alexandra van Huffelen. Very happy to have had all these visits. That shows the importance of the project and how those projects were able to, and how interested these persons are in our project. The upcoming milestones, as I mentioned, we are still working on some of the equipment packages. We've started with the equipment package 1 and 2. That's the jet bridges and the passenger boarding bridges. The jet bridges and the passenger, the baggage handling system. Those are in the process and in the works. We still have the EP3, that will also be a direct selection, so that's in the works as well. Some of the other EPs will come at a later time. Then we have the public outreach campaigns. Those are, we'll definitely be continuing with the public outreach campaigns. One of the other major items that we plan to continue working on as well is the boarding control kiosks. These are the automated kiosks that were in the building before. So these are the e-gates that the machines that we call the e-gates. So these are the automated machines that you use to put your boarding pass through to be able to go up the stairs and up the escalator. Then we have the ABC e-gates. Those are the automated border control gates. That were the e-gates that we had just launched in the terminal in 2017, just before the hurricane. Those were the gates where you put in your boarding pass, you put in your passport, and then you're able to get scanned by immigration before you exit the country. And then on arrival, we'll be implementing some other kiosks, which are kiosks that will allow again to facilitate easier transition for immigration, especially on arrival. Where it's similar to the ESSA system, where you go to a machine, you declare yourself, and then you're able to enter into the country freely. Then I mentioned the equipment packages before. What's important here to note is that we have 3 bids. We received 3 bids for the equipment package 1, and those bids range from 2.8 to 4.4 million. And then for equipment package 2, which is the passenger boarding bridges, we received 3 bids as well, which range from 5 to 18 million. Here below, you see the companies that took part in those bids. And finally, I hope you guys are still with me. We are concluding with a brief summary. We want you to note that the airport is operational, albeit partly in package 1, and will continue to phase into operation the areas as we get them back from the contractor. We were able to secure financing for the reconstruction with the government of St. Martin. We will continue to have stakeholder consultations. Again, that's a part of the process for us. We were able to have those sessions in the past, and we continue to have those consultations and engagement moments, again, like these public outreach campaigns. We were able to complete the pre-works projects, which was the mold remediation, the waste disposal, and the sprinkler refurbishments. And we are in the process now of, well, we awarded the main works contract. We signed with the contractor has started, and we're definitely looking forward to being able to receive the first, accomplish the first major milestone in terms of the reconstruction in December 2022, in a few months from now. With that, I want to close off and say, continue to follow us on our social media pages, our Facebook, YouTube, Twitter pages, our Instagram pages, where we share as much information as possible. Audrey does a good job of keeping those up to date. We also have a dedicated page on our website where you can learn more about our construction project. We try to share as much information on there. We have reports on there about the project. So if you're really interested in the project, feel free to go on, check out those reports, and be as engaged as possible. And lastly, again, if there's any suggestions or complaints, even after this presentation, feel free to visit the website, go to our grievance redress mechanism, and be able to launch your suggestions, your complaints, even your commendations, if you find that we're doing a good job as well. So I want to thank you again. And at this point, we will open up the floor for questions for those who have. And for just a few, not too much. We don't want to overdo it. Questions going once. I got one question in the chat. Yes, someone was saying something?
Yes, this is Butte Alberto.
Sorry, say that again?
Butte Alberto. I was
Okay.
asking, I think I got a question in the chat pertaining to the issue of good governance in terms of what are the procedures in place for agreements among the airport and all the stakeholders, especially from general contractor right down to the subcontractors and others, that they comply with the local laws in terms of hiring folks that are registered on the island and in compliance with all social obligations. And also, so what mechanism is in place to see to it that that is kept to the highest standard possible?
I'll start off and then I'll pass it over to Mirto. But basically, this has been designed since in the contract phase, from as the airport during the bidding process. When we put out the bid, we incentivized the hiring of locals. That was one of the main tools that we have as an airport to ensure that, or to stimulate, then let me say, that the contractors do their best to hire locals. Aside from that, we know that the contractor has also had conversations with the Minister of Vromi and Justice, if I'm not mistaken, Vromi for sure, about the hiring of local workers and the local subcontractors. I know they have had conversations and fruitful conversations as well. And that was also one of the prerequisites, that was also one of the reasons why they were able to have a job fair in December. So I hope that kind of answers the question. Mirto, feel free to jump in whenever you're ready.
Permit me to emphasize on this. It is mostly that parties does not bring illegal workers who are not contributing to the system. You know, I know that's one of the criteria of the NRPP, the funding, etc., that we have this sort of situation taking place now with seeing that we have to go through all of this system whereby a lot of accountability needs to take place, so that also that all that is participating within the system, okay, of the workforce, etc., I'm referring to from security right up to the main contractors, that there's no hiring of folks that are not legally registered. You understand me? Either on the island or has not gone through the true process for obtaining their work and residence permit on the island. Is what I'm referring to, especially where the control especially is there, that these contractors and everyone adhere to such.
Yeah, so, Neto, you gonna answer? You want me to?
No, I saw you were going to answer. Go ahead. If you stumble, I'll jump in again.
Okay. So what I was going to add as well, Mr. Butte, is that, and I take your point. It's very important that, especially as a big project as ours, that we do our best to ensure that we secure our local workers. So I definitely understand that. What we decided to do, and in as much power as we have, as I mentioned before, aside from incentivizing the contractor to hire locals, we also requested from the contractor to make sure that everybody that they hire, they document those workers, that they document whether it is a working permit, a passport, whatever it is, to make sure that they also take up that responsibility as well. It would be very difficult for us as the PMU to ensure, to go around and police each and every worker, but that's why I said we've requested that information from the contractor to make sure that they provide that to us via our portal. So in that way, again, we, in a practical way, we try to make sure that that information is secured. Another reason why we've asked the contractor to make sure, and again, because we know of these sensitive situations surrounding not just our project, but all the other, especially major projects on the island. So it is something that definitely has our concern. We're doing our best to try to streamline that process as best as possible, to make sure that everyone is accounted for, and everyone is doing their part, basically, to make sure that the workers are safe, the locals are safe, but that the project also continues in a proper manner. Yeah, hope that was able to answer your question, Mr.
Mr. Butte, did that answer your question? Because
I'm somewhat satisfied, but what I'm somewhat concerned.
But you want to see the guarantee on how the airport
yes, in terms of that
happens.
there is absolutely no hiring of illegal folks, because then you will find yourself very easily whereby you will find contingent of illegal groups coming in and getting work done. I know it's all for economic benefit, but however, most of these folks are not registered through the social system and those sort of things here. So this is what we need to know with such a project, and especially knowing that we have a lot of accountability issue and good governance issue to adhere to, that this doesn't take place. So that means you go find yourself with a particular nationality with 50 of these folks, and none of them got papers on the premises, and that's something that by all costs should be avoided, that we don't have that. No problem, people that are here on the island that are working legally, but that this doesn't happen because we know that the local workforce, based on wages, cannot compete with certain groups. And then you will find yourself where contractors or groups like security company or whatever are bringing folk to patrol sensitive area or building the airport, but with folks that are not truly registered within the system. They are not legally in the system, and we cannot compete as a local workforce versus these groups because it's done 100% for profit. I understand that part, but it needs to be done also lawfully. Also, that means that they get registered. I don't care if it's a temporary issue, but that they go through a process, or that the airport and the minister and ministry make sure to secure certain things in place that they adhere. And the mobilization also of the SZV, mobilization of the SZV, because there's too much of funds that are not reaching SZV. So now we have an enclosure whereby everyone is working, or most folks are working on the premises, whereby SZV has a better control of who all coming in and working there and registration, etc., etc. So that should be something that should be taken highly into consideration, that it doesn't happen as happening with other private projects.
Fully agree with you, and that has been taken into consideration. We are in very close relationship with the contractor, that anytime a subcontractor is awarded a subcontract on this particular project, it goes through our screening process where we ensure that they are registered at the chambers, that all of their paperwork is up to date before we can allow them to start the process. Also, their employees are also need to show us that they are registered on the island before that they can come in and get a pass to be able to work on the site. So those things have been taken into consideration. As you mentioned, this is a very high profile project, and we just cannot afford to have inspection being carried out and we are not in compliance. So thank you for bringing that to the forefront, that we can assure you that it's being taken care of.
Thank you. I trust you.
Thank
Thank you.
you again, Mr.
Any more
Schmidt.
questions? Any more questions for Mr. Schmidt? Ask him another tough one, please.
Good afternoon. Good evening. This is Mr. Thomas. A quick question would be in connection with where is it being posted to the public, the type of services the contractor is needed, that persons are allowed to go and bid? Where is the bidding or the information being lodged that for example, local companies can review and say, I would like to be part of it?
Let me take that one, David.
Yeah.
I believe that portion is passed already, because during the bidding process, the contractor was reaching out to the local subcontractors that they needed for the different disciplines of the project. They were able to already receive quotations and understanding from the different subcontractors locally on who can carry out what particular function. And now that they're in the execution phase, they're finalizing the works, the contracts with those subcontractors. So it's not that there's somewhere that's posted to say that they need particular subcontractors. This was done also during the job fair in December, where certain discipline of work that was not already filled, they had two persons came in, and they now have a big pool that they can actually pull from. So it's not that the airport has a site that has all of the open, what should I say, works and different disciplines of the construction available. The contractor already has a selected subcontractors that they want to work with. Curtis, did that answer your question?
So to add that to still, that means that the job fair was the introductory part that everyone had to attend. And once you attend, your information was shared. And now they're pulling from that pool of information they got. And
Correct.
That's what they're working with right now. So that, is there any other alternative for those persons that did not attend the job fair in December? Is there any way of seeing the scope of work that they may still be able to submit a competitive bid to be that the persons can also review, or that's a done case?
I would never say it's a done case, because we have not approved all of the sub work that needs to be carried out. I'm pretty sure if you would be able to contact the contractor, which is Ballas Needham, You can always have a discussion with them, and maybe there's still some work out there for them to be able to award you. We do not know who all the subcontractors are until they have submit them for a particular scope of the work. So like I said, I'm not sure if it's finalized yet. So there still may be some possibilities.
Okay. No, I just thought for transparency reasons, it'd be good for the public to know what is still there and what the process is, you know. But I understand what you're saying, that the public should contact the contractor who's Palestinian and then get the information from there. Next thing that I would like to inquiring, when Mr. Smith deliberated about the bid, the persons was able to bid before they saw the scope of work, and now that they're actually on the ground, they're getting to see the scope of work. How does that play in a case against, for example, I bidded 40 million or I bid whatever I bid, and now that I have actually seen the scope, it can be more, which would cause the airport to be more liable to pay more, because now the bid has changed due to them being on the ground physically. How is that playing out? Do you have like a protection clause, or is just now that I'm here and I've seen the work, I think I should bid more or less? How does it work?
Well, what Damien explained to you is because the contractor could not come down and do a site visit. Normally during the bidding process, you have the opportunity for the contractor to come down to the airport. We can be able to walk the site, physically touch the walls, smell the atmosphere, and see what is there. But that's not basically the only work that they be able to see, because we submitted them all of the requests for bids. In there, we send them the drawings, the scope of the work, all of the specifications, so they have all of that information. It's just that they were not able to walk the premises with us. So what Mr. Smith indicated to you is that we mapped the terminal. So we went through every nook and cranny of the terminal with our 360-degree cameras, and we made a stitching video so that you can stand anywhere in the terminal and you could see up, down, left, right, and virtually walk through the terminal. And that is a video, that was a link that we made available to all the bidders, and they could be able to review that even better than if they had done a site visit. Just need to remember, a site visit is a one-time walk through the building. The virtual link, they had it throughout the whole bidding period, so they could go to any room within the building as much as they wanted. They could have gone all the way down to the different floors. They could have taken their time and measure different locations. So yes, it was a lot easier for them now, even though it would have been nice for them to be on the island to be able to walk through. The virtual, the cameras and the virtual video that we gave them a lot more accessibility to the terminal.
Duly noted. Thank you for that explanation.
But I'm happy that you're asking the questions, because a lot of these questions we don't think too much about, but it's good when you ask them that we can be able to explain as much as possible.
May I pose another question, please?
Please go ahead. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Where can we find this presentation, and also a more work breakdown structure of the entire project? I mean, I know it doesn't have to go into details. It could end up into the millions of broken down structures, but where we can see it, you know, from a project management standpoint, to see more, you know, like a little more details on how everything is flowing, and, you know, timelines. And so, is there anything on the website or some way that we can read more in details pertaining to the project, this project?
Damien, can you just quickly go to our website so that they can see what it looks like?
I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna post the link to the website in the chat also. so that you can access it. So let me do that quickly. Pull that up. But aside from that, I'll have to stop sharing and then start to sharing as well. So let me do
And
that.
just to give you a little bit more information, Mr. Gift, we're trying to be as transparent as possible on this particular project. So right now, I know when you logged on, you saw that we are recording this particular session. This session will be put into YouTube so that you will be able to replay it later on. There's also several links that Damien showed in the first slide that we will also make available on our site, that you can always go back later on and you can listen to the other presentations that we have. On the site, every quarter, we publish a report on the process, the progress that we're making on the project. So I believe there's 7 of them there already that you can take a look at. There's also environmental social commitment plan, environmental social management plan that explains what we expect the contractor to do, as well as what we are doing also. They may explain about the ESS. We are where this here is actually one of those hearing feedback. Elena, I think you need to mute your mic. Thank you. So there's quite a number of documents we have on our site which will give you insight on where we are with the project. We also have a link to the World Bank pages where they also are tracking the progress. If you look close enough, you'll even see how all of the assessment that we have been done on the project, that you can read all of those documents because they're very much open documents for anyone to be able to read.
Yeah. Okay.
Damien is taking you right now, New York City. He's taking you to our website. So he can kind of walk you through to see that this stuff is readily available on our page.
Okay. But no, I'm seeing different stuff here.
Okay, so this is the airport website.
Yeah.
And if you go, start from the website itself on Damien so that they can see where the construction tab is.
So you go to
SXMairport.com. Yeah, click on that.
You go to SXMairport.com. You have the main homepage. When you scroll down a bit, over on the right, you see the construction tab. When you click on the construction tab, you get all the information pertaining to the project. Interested bidders. One of the main items that we have here is for the self-service backdrop systems. Deadline for that project, that's clear, etc. So all the details of that EP, that equipment package, is there clear. The other EPs, those are there as well. EP1, EP2, also highlighted by the phase of the bidding process that they're in. So at this point, we awarded project 1 and project 2. We awarded package 2. We have the evaluation of the tenders for EP1 and EP2. They are in the evaluation phase. This EP4 is in the tendering stage, and in the design phase is EP5 and EP7. So this gives you all the information. As soon as you jump into the website, it gives you an overview of all the open projects that we have. Just to jump back up, we have a bit of information here about the project in general, a bit of the history and background of the project. We have a timeline. This timeline will be updated slightly. No major changes in terms of deadline, but just shifting around a bit of stuff. The video that I promised, that's here as well. Aside from that, we also have playlists, a YouTube playlist on our YouTube page about all the different episodes of video, all the different video episodes from our Rebuild TV online series. So that's, I think, 5, and we should have a new video coming out soon as well. Again, talking and providing you information about the project in general. We also have some nice renderings here that persons can see. That's over the bathroom area, the meet and greet area with the new concession space, etc. So much more information you can find on the project. As I mentioned, the complaints. So this is the section for the GRM, where you'll be able to lodge a complaint online. Down below on the same page, this will take you to a link for you to be able to download a form in PowerPoint or PDF. Sorry, in PDF or Word.
Yeah.
You can also send it to the email address here listed above. Again, the job box. You download the form, fill it out, and then the phone number, so you can contact for your grievance to lodge your grievance mechanism. I mentioned also that on here has a good bit of documents about the project, report. Our ESS expert has been, is the one responsible for a few of these. We also have all kind of different projects, reports here that have to do with the project. We also have something that we started based on some of the questions that we received during some of these sessions, the frequently asked questions, that's on here as well. And so these documents date back to 2020, October 2020. Then we have various notices, again, about the self-service backdrops, the same thing as on the homepage. A stakeholder engagement, again, just highlighting certain elements of the about the project. This was some of the public outreach campaigns where we gave an update on the project. This was from last year, March 25, so almost a year to date. We also highlight more in detail about the project funding. I think I gave you maybe 2 or 3 slides, but this presentation goes very much more in depth in highlighting all the different elements of the funding. And then even with the milestones, I gave you 2 slides. In this presentation, we go much more in depth in all of those different milestones of the project. Then we have, as I mentioned, some frequently asked questions, and of course, more will come as well. So you can take your time and check out those. We were busy with a survey, but that has now closed. But the idea is that we'll, throughout the duration of the project, we'll be able to do a passenger perception survey. And that will help us to gauge and see how well passengers are experiencing the airport, especially during the reconstruction. And then lastly, we have a portal, and this portal is specifically for the bidders, basically, who were bidding on the project and who would be bidding for the different equipment packages as well. So this is an overview of the construction tab and all the information that we have on here as well.
Just to give you an update there, Mr. Butte, as well. Damien talked about the portal, and he also showed you a notice for the, go to the notice here, Damien. Today, we just launched the request for bids for the self-service backdrop, and we had over 27 contractors that actually wanted information on this particular project, and we sent that out. So now we will have at least 27 of them looking at the process, and they will be bidding on this.
Something that I think is very important also, I only think I heard the CEO once on a program, I think was explaining about.
Can you speak a little bit louder, Mr. Butte?
Yeah. What I think is important also, and I think, I don't know if you all have it either in YouTube or whatever, but the CEO, I can recall during 2021, I think when we had the little unrest at the airport, was explaining about the vision of the airport. And I think also it's very important for folks to know before Irma what we had and what is the vision of the management of the airport, how they see the Princess Juliana International Airport into the future, what all it's going to accommodate. to really have a good either explanation or video whereby people can see, because what's living in society, it's you're not getting this information and you're hearing, and it's easily to associate that something that is taking place at the airport is not necessarily correct. So I think once, people read and inform and see clearly that, hey, listen, we know that in development, it costs, but if we can read it, see it, like what you're explaining here, we can get access to these documents. All the transparent part here is important, but also many can counter a lot of what is being said, because a lot of what is being said may be things that lack proper facts or information to go with it. So it's going to have a life of its own. So I would suggest that also that that you all have also, it could be a combination of a 3-4D thing, how the airport will look in the future, what it's intended to accommodate, how many million passengers, those sort of things. Maybe you all have it already. I only heard it through the mouth of the CEO in a program one day, but it's good to have that and to explain where we were, why the cost is this, the cost to build the airport. This, Watson Martin will have at the end of the finalization of the airport. I think it's very important.
I think Damien highlighted those questions that you had there. He pointed out 3 presentations that we have where we went through and we explained the financing, why is it, what all we are doing with the funding, why it came to that cost. So you can take a look at that particular video.
Yeah.
As well as you can see right in front of us right now, the video. Back there.
Yeah, so let me just go back there to let Mr. Butte say again. So, and we have it here again as well. So this is the impression video. I'll play it because I promised to play it before. And then we have the package 2 project presentations. And so in these videos, I think you would find a bit of information that you're talking about, where we started as the airport in terms of reconstructing the project and some of the major milestones that we had. Again, getting supervising engineer, expanded the team. I didn't even touch on the PMU as a team, but some of those details are in there as well. A lot of those details are in there just as an overall project. The funding, how the money is, where we got the money, where the money came from, how the money is handed over to airport, and then subsequently to the contractor, what is a loan, what is a grant, etc. And then some of the project details as well. So that's a lot of the thing. I would want you first to check these presentations and then come back and let us know if there's still anything missing that you feel like would still be there.
Not necessarily for me, but I'm talking about from the standpoint of public consumption, because a lot of this is either academic and technical. I'm talking for public consumption. Is there where the public can see what at the end of this journey, this project, what they will have. That's what I'm looking after that. So, they know what they have now, they know what they had before, you understand me?
Yeah.
And if they can, they need to start to live that to see, hey, this is what at the end of the day we will have as a product, which is called Princess Juliana International Airport. But from a layman standpoint, they should see the presentation, the artwork, the digital aspect of it. They can see, okay, here's a vision plan of the airport and how this is what it will look and this is what it will handle. That's what I'm talking about for general and public consumption.
Okay, so let me run through this video first, and then that might help to clear up. Again, so a lot of this information is out there, is what we would consider public, and we try to share as much as possible. That's why exactly we have these sessions. Unfortunately, we didn't figure out a way yet to tap into each and every resident to kind of just get the information in front of them like that. But we tried our best to, in these same sessions, pull as much persons. So again, tonight is really about you guys, the service groups. In the past, we had, for this year, we've already done the Beacon Hill community. We had a nice session with them. We did the Simpson Bay community as well. The idea is that we did a live Facebook session online. So a lot of information is out there, but I do definitely take your point that we can try to see and maybe challenge ourselves to see how we can do more. What I'm going to show you now is I'm going to run through this video, but I'm going to play it from my laptop and not the YouTube because it might stream a bit better. Let me just get 2 seconds so I can pull up that video for you.
Thank you for the. I would like to thank you all for this opportunity and for the explanation given tonight. So I'm satisfied with the information that was shared this evening.
Mr. Butte, have you ever seen the video?
No.
Okay.
Okay, I think I have it now. One quick second, make sure this is the right one. That's not it.
I'm okay with it. It's not necessarily.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I promise to show it anyway, so it's good. It's good. I just wanted to make sure that I get the right one so that you know, we know that we're talking about the right thing. I think this one.
It'll be good if you can look at it from this point of view, because this way, when people look at it right now, it's just some music playing in the background. But now that we have you here as we're going through it, Jimmy is going to give you a quick narrative of what you're looking at. And if there's something you want him to stop and freeze that, then we can always go back and do that.
Yeah.
And we can explain a little bit more as we go.
Perfect.
No, there's not going to be water inside of the terminal.
This is Mr. Thomas again. Before you go into the video, because I don't think my question is related to the video. Can I post it quickly before the video starts?
Go ahead, Curtis.
Okay. One question, main question is seeing that Hurricane Irma devastated the airport in such a magnitude way. In the rebuilding of this new airport, what steps have we taken that this will not replay itself again? How is it that the reconstruction of the airport will not stop the, for example, the beaching of the beach across from the airport that mainly did most of the damage by flooding the terminal with salt water? How are we gonna prevent this coming hurricane season? I mean, when the project is done, it's not gonna be completed before hurricane season, but let's say when it's all completed, what steps have we taken to make sure and ensure that our investment of all of this money is secured and that it wouldn't replay itself again? And if it replays itself again, do we have, like, for example, a maintenance fund to rebuild from that maintenance fund and not have to depend on the system that we have right now and the loans that we are taking to get it done?
First, I would like to make a small correction. We did not have any seawater come up from the ocean and flooded the airports. What we had was the doors were all compromised. We had a Category 5 hurricane, 185 miles per hour, gusting up to 200, and the entry doors to the airport was compromised. When those was pushed in, we also had the pressure that removes 80% of the roof. The roof that we had before was built up to accommodate 130 miles per hour. In the reconstruction, we have now replaced the roof with a stronger material. We have done strengthening of putting the span of the sheeting. Instead of it being wide sheets, we now made them more narrow so they can withstand more strength. So now the roof can carry the capacity of 185 miles per hour. So we really increased the strengthening of that. We did not have any damages to the panes. We had shattered glass, but because of some flying debris, we had a couple of them that were penetrated. We are replacing all of those. We are also strengthening the doors, which was the main culprit for the hurricane. Those are going to get sustained beams in there. So we're going to be putting a full footing to ensure that they cannot be blown in by the hurricane again. And those are some of the major physical components that we're going to put in place to ensure that should we have another Irma, that the airport can withstand that. Now, the airport had insurance, and we saw that there was we put our baskets into one insurer, which was Nagico, and we know Nagico also had quite a bit of claims to the Caribbean at the same time. So it made it a bit more difficult for them to want to be as open. We have now reinsured with bigger insurance companies throughout the world that they will have a bit of a deeper pocket for them to be able to pay us out in a quicker mechanism. So yes, we do recognize some of the shortfalls we had before the hurricane, and we do hope that we've been able to close most of those loops going forward should we have another hurricane. Curtis, is that clear enough on some of the mechanisms that put in place?
Yeah, so it's clear, Mr. Brew. Thank you for that explanation. And one last question. How it seems like we're under most of the people as stakeholders and nonprofit NGOs. How can the airport and for example, the construction company that won the bid, what social aspect can we expect, or can these stakeholders expect, socially or beneficially from this project? For example, maybe in social aid or I don't know. I'm just throwing out a blanco here because we're all invited here, but we'd like to know what aspect will this play in helping the nonprofit NGOs, or is there any social kickback or anything entitled throughout the process of this rebuilding of the airport?
Well, we looked at it more that the airport is one of the beacons of the island, is the gateway to the island, and all of us benefit when tourists comes to the island. So taking that from that perspective, we wanted to make sure that everyone on the island, who we consider stakeholders, because this is all our airport, we want to give you the opportunity to let you know that the work is being carried out. We are moving forward with the project, and we taking all of the input that Mr. Butte, been questions that you've been posting. It gives us also some perspective that there's some concerns that we may need to take a look at. We may need to adjust how we're presenting, and just to make sure that everybody understands what's going on with the project. There's not going to be any social aspect from this or whatever, but we do have the contractor do have an agreement with NEPA for training to be carried out during the project. So it's not just contractors going to be working on the project, but there's also going to be a training aspect for capacity building on the airport, on the island, that the contractor has taken over. This is a signed agreement, a service available agreement between the contractor and the labor minister, Mr. Utley, that they also have a training aspect in it for the project. So we will be seeing a lot of students from NEPA who's going to be also part of the construction going forward. So they're learning a trade as they go forward.
I was able to answer your question, Curtis. I also just wanted to share that here you have a filter. So when you come in and you check in these documents, my colleague just reminded me that you can click on these filters that help to pull up the specific elements of the projects. And then this also takes you to the World Bank page as well. Yeah. And then in this list, I'm not sure where it is exactly. In this list that shows also other projects from about Semanta. Oh yeah, yeah.
This is actually only the airport project, yeah? This is only the airport project.
Yeah.
All of those documents.
Yeah,
And
so all these
documents.
yeah.
And the last one was updated March 12th.
Yes. So again, provide you with much more information about the airport reconstruction project. So with that, I want to run through this video. It takes us about 6 minutes. And then I think after that, we'll come back to Mr. View to see if he has any input on this. So very glad to be able to get your input on that, sir. And then we'll be able to answer some more questions or get some more input. I'll be doing a little talk over just to guide you through the process. It goes a bit fast, so bear with me, but also let me know if there's any questions in the meantime, and I can pause the video. As you enter from the main doors, the main entry doors, you're gonna see the large information displays that we discussed. This black item here is directional signage. Here you're seeing the check-in kiosk that we discussed. And down in the back, you see what we're speaking about, the self-service backdrops. That's the backdrop machines where persons will be able to drop off their bags after they checked in. Down in the back, you see some airline booths, customer information, some more directional signage. Of course, it will have numbers and letters on it. More airline booths.
Pause. I want them to also, Curtis, to ask about what we did for the hurricane. I want him to see the design of the doors.
Oh, let me see.
So as you can see, we're building a whole concrete structure to make sure that we can protect the doors. And of course, there'll be shutters and everything on them as well. So what happened the last time during the hurricane where the whole frame was blown in, it should not happen with this one this time. Lena, please go to the airport website, go under the construction tab, and you'll be able to see what Damon is projecting.
Yeah, the video is on the website. This is a video that I'm playing from my laptop though, but it's the exact same video. I just played from my laptop because then it flows a bit smoother as opposed to playing it from YouTube. So as I was mentioning, this is the airline ticket counters. Here you see an image of the airline ticket booths were behind of us. And now we're approaching the airline ticket counters, the airline check-in counters. One of the items here, and I pause it here, one of the big improvements is these, especially for the airline agents, is the check-in counters. Because in the past, the airline agents, if you were one or if you know one, they used to have to step up on the scales, on the baggage belts, and then to be able to step down behind the counters. That was a bit cumbersome. So what we did was we found this design where you're able to swing open the counter like a door. The agent steps in, sit down, and then they're able to close the door behind them. So that's a big improvement, especially for our airline agents and users. Over in the corner here, another reason why I pause it here, and you see maybe a better image here, is the new elevator that we're going to be implementing. This is I think I showed you pictures of the hole that they dug into the floor, where they're going to be putting piles in a few days. That is for this new elevator, which will take you from the ground floor. And this is specifically, especially for airport employees, but also airline agents, that would take you from ground floor, level 1 and level 2 up to the offices. In the corner here, we have spaces again for our ATM machines. The dark spaces that you're seeing here is the concession areas in the food court. This is the general food court area, so that returns in the same location. The dark areas, the concession areas, we as the PMU are not responsible for who goes there. That will fall under the commercial team. So if you're interested in or know someone who might be interested, you go to the website, and under the business tab, you can fill out the expression of interest form. And they would then, that would be taken up with the commercial team. Here's where I mentioned somebody had a question? Okay, so here's where I mentioned the automated e-gates that would take you upstairs. We also have an entry door here for the passengers. I want to say handicap, but I think there's a better terminology for them. Physically challenged persons. They would be able to enter. Persons using a wheelchair, for example, they can enter over on this end, and they speak to an agent here, and that would help to guide them up the stairs. And then you go up the stairs, up the elevator, stairs or escalator. There's an elevator there as well that take you up to the new departure level. One of the changes that we're going to have here is we're going to be doing security first and then immigration down in the back, similar to how, well, just like how we have it now, but different to how we had it in the past. First, we had immigration first and then security, and now we're switching those around. On top here would be some of the executive offices where we had them in the past as well. So you sneak through security first. I think we mentioned already that the security machines, screening machines will be upgraded so that you would allow to keep your bags, keep your water in your bag, your laptop in your bag, your shoes on, which would help to facilitate and make a faster screening process when you're going through the terminal, when you're going through security. Then we reach to the immigration booths, immigration automated machine booths. You'll be able to pass through. And then there'll still be manual booths, of course. You can't go fully digital, but just to give you an impression again of how the process will flow. When you pass immigration, then you're in the departure hall. Over on your left, we have the C gates, but the video goes down to the right. One thing I want to point out here actually is that the redesigned terminal will have over on the C gates and will have a smoking room that will return. That's something that we get asked a lot. But more, what I wanted to point out as well is that we will be implementing a animal relief area, a pet bathroom, animal bathroom for persons who are traveling with their animals, basically. Large FIDS, flight information displays. This is down at our food court area. In the food court area, we have all the things that you would expect, bar, concessions, restaurants, and we're introducing a children's play area as well. And this would allow children to be able to play while the parents get something to eat. Moving down, you see the flooring. If you paid attention to the flooring, you'll see the terrazzo flooring all throughout the airport, especially in the public areas. Then as we move over some more, down in the corner here, you'll see an escalator, if you were paying attention. And then over here, we see one of the new facades to the bathrooms. In the bathrooms also, one of the nice major changes there is that we have pause the video here quickly. In the bathrooms, all the bathrooms are gonna have water dispenser, soap dispenser, and a hand dryer all at the same unit, all in the same location, same station. So you don't have to wash your hands and then head across the room to get paper to dry your hands. Everything is gonna happen in that same area. So that's a nice improvement in our bathrooms. This is one of our new escalators that take you from the jet bridge down into the arrival corridor, sun, sand, and sea corridor, as we call it. Over here, I hope I'm not going too fast. If I am, somebody please signal me. But over here on your right-hand side, we have some more concession space as well. Well, concession space will return, And then down in the back here, some more concession space, signage, the black bars are for signage. This elevator, I think all our elevators will be redone to be glass elevators. And then down here, we have our new, our executive lounge will return. In the executive lounge, one of the things that I'm very happy to share is that we'll have two showers in the executive lounge. So those who want to have a nice fresh shower before they leave, they'll be able to do so at the airport. And then up top here in the executive lounge, it now goes up 2 levels. So you have this level here, and then up top you have a second level, and that second level would have a balcony that allows you to come out and have a nice view over the departure hall. We believe that this is is going to be a nice area for persons to be able to chill out before they take their flight. To kind of spice up this area some more, we added an extra concession as well. This concession is going to come with seating as well, so it's not going to actually be removing or taking away too much seating from the seating area. And then on arrival, you arrive, you go down the escalator, one of our 3 new escalators that we're implementing. You're down in the Sun, Sand, and Sea corridor, one of our arrival corridors from the jet bridges. You're overlooking the baggage belt over here on your right-hand side. One of the nice improvements here is that the baggage belts now circle on the inside, so the bags no longer have to go back on the outside and then you have to wait for them to come back in. No, everything circles now on the inside. Then we have the immigration kiosk. Of course, this is just an artist's impression. It doesn't mean that they look exactly like this, but the immigration kiosk, you continue down. Once you're able to pass through immigration here. We still have some manual booths over here if necessary. Then you go down the stairs, you reclaim your bags. If you have to transfer or check passengers that are transferring, they can go over on the left to be able to recheck. Baggage belt area, new facade to the bathroom. All the facades to the bathrooms will be redone. Pause it here because this area, jump back a little bit. This is the custom. This will be the customs area. This is going to be your main exit area. But what we agreed with customs is that if there's sensitive flights that they want to check, then they'll be able to channel the passengers through this entrance, and then they walk through this space and then be able to exit through the regular door. Yeah. Over on your left, we're going to continue with a concession in the baggage reclaim area that has been working well for us and the passengers. And then a passenger now exit. Just before you exit, we created this new space. This is one of the big changes to the layout. We created this new we got one of our colleagues, so they called it a in-between area, where you're in between exiting and in between the meet and greet area. And this in-between area is where we have our car rentals. This is where our the new location for our car rental booths. This was important for us and the car rentals because the car rentals wanted to have a nice dedicated area where they can receive passengers before the passengers exit, and then all kind of people start to barter at them and those type of things. And it kind of gives a nice exclusive feel to the car rentals where they can, if you're traveling, you have a car rental reservation, you can approach your car rental person before you exit. You deal with the documentation and then they carry you on your way. So this is a nice in-between area. This is one area that we're still considering looking at to make sure that we don't get any headaches from congestion in this space. But the good thing is that where this area is sealed off, well, not sealed off, but secured with glass partitions that we'll be able to move when necessary. And because the flooring is terrazzo, we wouldn't have to worry too much about the tiling or the flooring and redoing the flooring. This area that you're looking at here, I'm gonna let the video play some more. This area that you're looking at here is the new BSO office. The BSO office stands for Baggage Service Office. And this Baggage Service Office, it allows you to, for passengers who flew or overflew, I think I mentioned that earlier, allow you to come back to the airport and go to a dedicated location for you to approach an agent to be able to retrieve your bag. So that's something new that we're implementing in there as well. Food court area, airport reception office that comes back, nice fits, nice big fits up top, redesigned, again, bathroom area, new concession space where the car rentals used to be, and then you're walking through the vestibules over at the far end of the airport and exiting the airport. So this is basically an overview of all the journey from a passenger's perspective on traversing throughout the airport. Mr. Butte, is this video interesting to you, meeting your needs? Any feedback on the video? Mr. Butte is still with us. Anybody else with comments or ideas about the video?
It's very informative. I could imagine, I don't know, like, I think the full length of the video, but if maybe you could, I don't know if it's moving too fast, but maybe you could maybe slow it down a little bit, because I see you're still pausing it for it to slow down to see everything. So, you know, and just like what you did a voiceover. Maybe you could do a new one with a voiceover, maybe indicating on the areas of the wall, the graphics can show what is going to be, better say bathroom or whatever. Just like how you explain it, you can put maybe a description over in the video. When it passes at that area, you could give a brief description, maybe a click on add. Like when you click on it, it gives you a breakdown of what you were just seeing.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I like that one actually. See, this is exactly where we need to have these sessions, so we get input and feedback from the public. So thanks a lot for that, Curtis.
Yeah, thank you. If I say it's a great idea, that means that's your next project, right? Okay.
As the next project for us collectively. We'll see how we get it done. Thankfully, we have a nice young, fresh intern who's able to take on some projects. So I don't want to keep persons too much longer. I know it's way past some person's bedtime. There's a lot more information that we have that we can share, but I think it's good enough if everyone is happy that we can put the handbrakes here. I saw Mr. Beauty was going to say something.
Well, yes. What I would like to see in a presentation, especially can be done by both in this digital format and also an explanation given by either professional, or it can be done, you know, a digital computerized system. It's talking about because it can serve both at the level educationally at schools, especially the youngsters will know what their airport entails, you know, and they could see the vision, they could see the economic development of the airport. The innate explanation is given pertaining to what the old structure gave us before, and based on this new vision plan, how many passengers we intend to accommodate by the year XYZ. Those are key information, and it's good also for investment, because then folks will see that there is a structure or infrastructure in St. Martin, a futuristic infrastructure whereby, you know, it makes an appeal both folks, investors and whatever, that take a look at it and they can see that, hey, St. Martin has built an airport that can accommodate this, and the businesses that can be designed around the entire aviation industry. Something like that needs to come forth, and especially then you talk about the dollars, the numbers, the money that was spent into this, you know, you could give, because then you can substantiate it, etc., etc. So it's something like that we need to see, whereby the airport sells itself, but the material can be used at all levels, both community-wise, but also in schools, and also investors and others can see the vision of the new Princess Juliana International Airport.
That's a good point. That's a good point. We have, I think I mentioned, we have other team members on the call who are taking note. So that's something I know that they've taken note of, and we'll definitely be discussing it to see how we can implement something similar. Thanks a lot for that, Mr. Butte. So as I was mentioning, I think everybody had a chance to contribute. So I want to say thank you all on behalf of the PMU. I think we lost Myrtle, but on behalf of the PMU, I want to say thank you. Thank you for hanging out with us and for listening to us for 2 hours. It's been a long time, but I hope that you were able to get your questions heard, get your answers from your questions, but also get input. I know that we have learned something. We've gotten ideas and suggestions, and these are things that we're going to take with us and help to inform all of our other future presentations. But as Mr. Butte suggested, for example, updating the video to make sure that the material becomes more informative, etc. So from the presentation, and I want to say thank you, and I'll pass it back over to Myrtle for him to do the official close off.
There's an official close off. All right. Thanks, Damien. Again, we thank the community for joining us today. When there's another session, we will be sending it out. Audrey will be publishing it. If there's more persons out there who have not had this information, once it becomes available when our next session is, we would like them to join us for questioning. But before they do that, they can always go on our site. As you can see, there's quite a number of material out there already. And this video will be put on the site as well. So you can always go back and see the video and review it as well. Again, thank you. And I will give this back to Audrey. Audrey, you can close off.
Thank you. Special thank you to the PMU team, Damian Smith as project coordinator. Of course, Mr. Brill as our director of the project management unit. Thank you to all the service group members that were on. I know some had to tag off, like Damian mentioned, it's past their bedtime, but they were leaving messages in our different chats. So thank you to everyone. I'm happy. Yes, Ian McCombs, I just saw you. I'm happy that everyone was able to be with us tonight. We will be getting more people. I know people are just excited about the project. So I expect these numbers to definitely be bigger. Another idea that I had in mind, I'll share with the team as well, but I know a lot of the requests from the service groups was to have these sessions, particularly for the Rotary session by itself, the Toastmaster session by itself. So it looks like we'll have to do something like that in order to get the bigger numbers when it comes to the service groups. But thank you for all the ideas with the videos and the communication and so forth. We will do our utmost to bring you the information for the airport terminal reconstruction project. Good night, everyone.